Alright, what's going on guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to upgrade the Angrath Minotaur Pirate Planeswalker deck. As always, do note that this is not intended to be a GP winning competitive deck. If you want that, consider checking out the latest tournament results. What we'll be doing is upgrading this deck card by card, sticking to this deck's original themes, and getting as much power out of it as we can, and we'll be doing it on a budget, as we will not exceed the deck's original MSRP price with our upgrades. Let's get started. So what does the Angrath Minotaur Pirate deck do? Well, it's a tribal pirate deck. It builds a crew of cheap, quick pirates like Grasping Scoundrel and Daring Buccaneer, and then proceeds to pump them up with things like Direfleet Neckbreaker, or just make a big, powerful Direfleet Captain to beat your opponent to death with. The three cards that come with the deck, the cards you can only get by purchasing this product, are Angrath himself, along with Angrath's Fury and Angrath's Ambusher. Now, of the four tribes of Ixalan, pirates are probably the weakest, or at the very least, they haven't really shown an appearance at major tournaments. But because pirates aren't making an appearance at the competitive level, these cards are all mostly bulk, so I think we can wring out a fairly aggressive red and black deck with the use of these pirates, and here's how we're going to do it. The first thing we'll do is take out 3 Swab Goblins for 3 more Daring Buccaneers. I mean, holy crap man, Swab Goblins are grizzly bears. No, just no. It's horrible. It's just a big fat no. Daring Buccaneer gives us the same 2/2 body, but it gives it to us a turn early because it only costs 1 to cast, allowing us to play much more aggressively and put more power on the battlefield quicker, which is what we want to do with an aggro deck and a tribal deck. Sure, we do have to reveal a pirate, but we're going to be emptying our hand super quick anyway, so it'll be fine. We'll reveal something and then we'll play it a turn or 2 later, it's fine. Next up, we'll take out the last Swab Goblin because it's terrible, and replace it with a copy of Fathom Fleet Captain. It's a 2-mana 2/1 with Menace, so we get the same power but with some evasion, but when it attacks we get to pay 2 to put more pirates into play. It's a little clunky, I'll admit. We don't want to be spending all of our mana to put 2/2 tokens into play. It's true, we're going to play stuff out of our hand first, but if we don't have anything to play that turn, fine, we'll get pirates. We'll pay 2, get a token. Yeah, more pirates are good in a pirate deck. Next up, we'll take out 1 Fathom Fleet Cutthroat for 1 more Fathom Fleet Captain. The Cutthroat is a 4-mana 3/3, which is just too expensive and too slow, and the ability is kind of awkward. When it enters the battlefield, you can destroy a creature that was dealt damage earlier in the turn. Maybe the stars will align and you will be able to use this ability to great effect, but most of the time, it's just going to be awkward and clunky and not very useful. The captain is much more consistent, and pumping out pirate tokens is going to win us games. So let's go with a card that wins us games, not the one that, might have a super exciting play on very, very rare occasions. Next, we'll take out 3 Angrath's Ambushers and replace them with 3 Grasping Scoundrels. A 3-mana 4/3 isn't bad, but most of the time it's just a 3-mana 2/3 with no abilities, so it's not great. Grasping Scoundrel is a 1-mana 1/1 that gets bigger when it attacks, so it allows us to be super aggressive, which is what we want with this build. 3-mana 2/3, it's too slow, it's not powerful enough. Obviously a 3-mana 4/3 would be great all the time, but it's not that. So I'd much rather have a 1-mana 2/1 when it's attacking, so we can just, start dishing out some damage super quick. Next up, we'll take out 2 Swaggering Corsairs for 2 Direfleet Captains. The Corsairs are pretty bad, a 3-mana 2/2 that gets a +1/+1 counter if we can trigger raid, which means at best, it's a 3-mana 3/3. Yeah, that's unimpressive, not that exciting. The captains, on the other hand, can really beat down. 2-mana 2/2s that get +1/+1 for each other attacking pirate. We're flooding the board with pirates, we're pumping out pirate tokens. This orc can become a powerhouse in no time. Definitely better than just, a 3-mana 3/3. Yeah, definitely better than that. Next, we're going to take out 2 Gilded Sentinels and replace them with 2 Direfleet Neckbreakers. Because why the heck are Gilded Sentinels in these stupid decks. It was in the Vampire deck too. I don't get it. I mean, it's a 4-mana 3/3, and it doesn't do anything. And it's not even a pirate. Ugh, no thanks. The Neckbreakers also cost 4 mana, and while it's only a 3/2 instead of a 3/3, it's going to send waves of power through our ranks of pirates when you're attacking your opponent. Not a bad card. Definitely better than Gilded Sentinels, that's for sure. Next up, we'll take out 2 Fathom Fleet Boarders and replace them with 2 Wanted Scoundrels. The Boarders are pretty bad. Once again, at best, it's a 3-mana 3/3. At best. Assuming you don't lose 2 life when you cast it. It's just not that exciting, but Wanted Scoundrels cost 1 less, cost 2 mana, for a 4/3. Pretty sweet. It is a little bit dangerous though, obviously, because your opponent gets 2 treasure tokens if they kill it, but I've been playing this card a lot on Magic Arena, and I have to say, a 4/3 on turn 2 feels pretty good. Imagine playing a turn 1 Daring Buccaneer into a turn 2 Wanted Scoundrel. So you've got 6 damage on the battlefield on turn 2, and then following that up a couple turns later with a Neckbreaker. Yeah, the damage starts adding up fairly quickly. Anyway, next up we'll take out 2 Headstrong Brutes for 2 more of these Wanted Scoundrels. Headstrong Brute is just another mediocre pirate. A 3-mana 3-power pirate with Menace isn't terrible, I guess, but it can't block, which could be relevant from time to time. So let's go with the Scoundrel, let's go fast, let's dish out the beats really quick. Seems like a good idea. Next up, I want to take out 2 Goblin Trailblazers in favor of 2 Forerunners of the Coalition. The Trailblazer is aggressive, I guess. You know, it's a 2-mana, 2-power creature with evasion. But the Forerunner is great for consistency. A 3-mana 2/2 that lets us search our library for a pirate card and put it on top, allowing us to draw the exact pirate we need for the next turn. It also pings our opponent for 1 every single time we put a pirate into play. So that can add up quick. And it does say enters the battlefield, so tokens from Fathom Fleet Captain are going to count. So that's pretty awesome. The utility of this is just too good. It lets us grab any pirate from our deck and also just constantly drains our opponent every single time we play a pirate. The Forerunner, pretty sweet. The final creature we're going to take out of the deck is Stormfleet Pyromancers. We're going to take out 2 of those in favor of Kite Sail Freebooters. The Pyromancers are way too expensive for what we want to be doing in this deck. A 5-mana 3/2 is really bad, and it does burn a creature or a player for 2 if you can trigger raid, but you know, I mean, it can 2 for 1, you know, you can kill something and then, you know, attack with it or whatever, but it's not super impressive. For that same 5 mana, you could play a Glorybringer for 5 mana. You know, comparing those side by side, you know, the Pyromancers seem a little bit less good than the dragon, right? The Freebooters, on the other hand, are pretty tricky. I'd actually like to get 4 of these in the deck, but right now we're just going to be running 2. But 2 mana for a 1/2 with flying that gets to rip a non-creature, non-land card from your opponent's hand is not bad. And not only is this a great way to disrupt your opponent's strategy, but it gives us a flyer that can potentially beat down if we have something like a Neckbreaker in play. You know, it becomes a 3/2 flyer that's going to end games quickly for sure. So yeah, the card's actually kind of great and much more useful than the Pyromancers in most matchups. We have a couple spells to change as well. We're going to take out 2 Sure Strikes and replace them with 2 Lightning Strikes. The Sure Strikes are just clunky and unreliable, and while you may occasionally trick your opponent into a really bad trade, every once in a while, maybe, sometimes, the ability to just deal 3 damage to anything at any time is going to be way more consistent, way more useful. You can kill your opponent with this if they're below 3 life. It's just way more useful. We want Lightning Strikes. Lightning Strikes are better than Sure Strikes. No question. I also want to take out the 3rd Sure Strike and replace it with a single fell Flagship. This card is surprisingly decent, giving us a Lord effect for our pirates and also giving us a way to whittle down our opponent's hand if we want to crew it up. It's not mind-blowingly good, but it's more effective than many people give it credit for, and it's definitely better than Sure Strike. I mean, just the Anthem effect of pumping all of our pirates is going to be useful and could potentially win us games for sure. Our final change for the deck is removing 1 copy of Impale for 1 copy of Cast Down. Impale kills a creature for 4 mana. Cast Down does the same thing for 2 mana less. Yeah, seems Seems better. Granted, the cast down can't target legendary creatures, fine, but honestly, 4 mana is just too much for a removal spell. No thanks on that one. And if you're really worried about legendary creatures, then I guess Unlicensed Disintegration works just as well. It also kills a creature, it just does it for 3 mana instead of 4, so it's still 1 mana less. It does have the artifact ability. If you control an artifact, it deals 3 damage. Even without that, you kill a creature for 1 mana less. And if you happen to have a Fel flagship in play, then I guess you get an extra 3 damage out of it. So that's not bad either. Definitely better than Impale. Impale's bad. It's really bad. Play Cast Down or even Unlicensed Disintegration is an improvement. Either one. You can pick. So that's that, guys. That's the deck. If you're willing to pay a little extra money, consider Fathom Fleet Poisoner, a tricky little pirate that can pump a friend or act as a removal spell. You know, it has some versatility, that's what makes it so good. So that's something to consider. Also, you may want to consider upgrading the mana base with Unclaimed Territory and Dragon Skull Summit. These are obviously a little bit expensive, but something to consider. It'll definitely make your mana way more consistent so you don't get color screwed as often. A couple other things to consider. I wanted to mention these really quick. Fiery Cannonade and Kitesail Freebooters are pretty good. The Cannonade really is fantastic. Wiping the opponent's board so you can storm the opponent with an army of pirates, pretty sweet. And the Kitesail Freebooters are probably, alongside Hostage Taker, one of the most played pirates in the format, I think, probably. I could be mistaken, but Kitesail Freebooter, pretty good as well. But anyway, that's it, guys. That's the deck. I think what we have now is pretty decent. You won't be winning a GP with this thing, don't get me wrong, but man, this is much, much more powerful than the deck that came in the box. No more of those Gilded Sentinels or Swab Goblins. God man, why? So if you've been playing this out of the box, these upgrades, which cost very little money, make this deck significantly more powerful and gives you a much better chance of winning against your friends or your enemies, I suppose. So yeah, that's it. I hope this was helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.